The Highland Hills tower the skies. But the shadows they cast draw the spirits near. After all, tomorrow.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday again. It fairly comes round, Drew, doesn't it? It fairly just arrives, because it was just only on Sunday we were out hunting the alleged ghosts and ghouls of Crawford Castle. Plus, I've fixed my phone now. I've changed the settings. I can have it on wide angle now. So how is everybody in the chat? We've got kind of like a full run tonight. We've got Parapost in there. We've got PWI Spiritual Investigator Sherry, my mystical love and light, the chief moderator in the chat, Stephanie, nearly put you Stephen there. Stockport, that's a wee joke that means Stephanie's got, it's just
welcome in, everybody.
All up tonight. We'll give it a couple of minutes to fill up, because we're going to be talking about a very, very interesting thing. It's obviously the Clydbank Blitz in World War II, 1940s to 1945, obviously. And I've got some pictures there, and some of them are quite, I wouldn't say graphic, but I would say there's no like bodies that
they're
really
upsetting.
They're upsetting. Yeah, they're all black and white pictures. So, Drew, what have you been up to? You looking forward to your big show next week?
Yes, I am. I have got Neil Story coming, guys, next Monday for a chat about murder by witchcraft. So that'll be interesting. You need to come along to Drew's abandoned paranormal vlog.
That'll be an interesting one.
Watch that.
That'll be an interesting one. Remember, guys, give Drew's abandoned paranormal vlog a subscribe. You never know. You learn very interesting things, and especially if you're really into like herbs and things like that. Drew also does tarot card readings, and she also does which you've got a kind of wee shop that you're making now, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So I have relaunched Boomstricks and Pentagrams, which was my shop. I tried to launch around about lockdown, but it just didn't take off. So I'm relaunching it this time. It will be up and running within a couple of weeks. So it'll be pushing that out. Yes.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You can visit that and buy some potions. I like the idea of the things that you actually had on Facebook. It was like little bags or something for your house.
Yeah, you just hang them around your home. What you really do is it's keeping positive energy flowing in your home, abundance and happiness and things. And what you usually do with them is any room that you sit in with your family, kind of place them in there, or at your front door and things, or in your kids' room, that type of thing. And it just keeps the positive energy flowing and the abundance and things. They're very popular.
There you go. Yeah, I'm going to get 2 for either shoulder,
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the subject. It's the Clydbank Blitz, the 13th and 15th of March in 1941. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here, guys. As I say, there's no really any gruesomeness to this, but it is war. There is carnage. If you are no into this kind of thing, just prepare yourself. Now, we will get into the paranormal aspect of this near the end of the show, because a lot of the buildings that were built in place are haunted because of what happened here. There's strange things happen. So, anyway, where were we? Well, we went the wrong place there, Drew. Wait till you see these pictures, guys. It takes me ages to upload these, man.
Yes, it did.
Well, let's start off with the first one that I showed you.
Yeah.
This, right, guys, look at this. That was a tram. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being on that?
I know. Right. Another thing is, if it wasn't stationary, the luck at it being hit, you think about it going along and then the bomb hitting. How unlucky.
Let me read you a wee paragraph here. This is for the people that look at our museum. The Clydbank Blitz, 13th to the 15th of March, 1941. On the night of the 13th, 14th, and 14th and 15th of March, 1941, the Luftwaffe bombers raided Clyde's side. So you've got to remember, people think, why were they bombing Glasgow, right? Why were they bombing Glasgow? And the simple question, the reason was there was, I wonder why that wouldn't take that. It's weird that wouldn't take off there. That's strange.
Right.
StreamYards is acting kind of weird. But anyway, Glasgow shipyards. They were building the cargo ships. They were building destroyers. They were building submarines. They were building everything. Okay, they were building everything for the war effort. The bombers raided the Clyde side, right, and the casualties in several industrial centres. So a lot of the factories were happening, right.
Right.
Scotland at the time was producing tanks. They were producing munitions. They were basically producing loads of stuff for the war effort.
Yeah.
The Glasgow suffered the highest number of fatalities, 650. But in it's suffered the worst according to official quote. In 1942, Clydebank raids killed 528 people, seriously injured 617, compared to a total of 1,200 people.
Wow.
I mean, that was only in the days. That was only between 1941 and 1942. I mean, the Germans' main targets in the Clydebank were the armaments factories. I see that. It was the armament factories where the parts for the tanks were getting, the vehicles were getting built. They also bombed the shipyards. But I don't think we've actually got a really good picture here, guys. I would like to show you. And where is it? Where are you? You've got to love the Germans. They like to take pictures of themselves flying over, bombing us.
Crazy.
Look at
There's
that.
the Clyde going right through like a snake. Yeah.
Yeah. The Germans' main targets were the ammunition factories, armaments factories, sorry, the machine gun works. So they were making machine guns, obviously. Engine works, they were making engines for obviously everything, for tanks to cars to jeeps. The company, let's see, the Blair Company reported by the Civil Defence Region Commission on the 3rd of April, an assessing impact that most of the targets that they wanted to take out was took out. They got what they wanted, right? That was their mission. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here, guys. Just be ready for this, right? Because I ken some folk are like, but as an 18 showing,
Glasgow and things at the war.
I'm just going to check the chat first to see how you all are, guys. You in there? Let's see. Oh, welcome, Iron Fire Horse. Welcome, Dobbies.
Welcome,
right,
everybody.
So guys, as I say, it's sad, right? And I can remember. Well, I can't remember, obviously, because that made me about 100 and something. But my uncle used to tell me when he was a little boy, and I'm only what were you fed up for Glasgow? What, 26 miles, something like that?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 40 minutes drive.
The bombers would fly over, and the air raid sirens would go off. But because it was villages, you could stand and watch them because they weren't interested in villages. They were only interested in cities, and you could see the bombers, and then in the distance you could hear the bombs going, and you would see the site, you would hear the lights, and you would see the flashes, and all the bombs going off. And there's no really colour photographs of this era because obviously colour photographs were available, but they were expensive.
It takes a lot of money as well to convert it, doesn't it?
Now, there's a first one there, and I don't know what the gentlemen are doing. I think they're looking for something. Do they look postman to you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looks like postman.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to deliver the mail and it's going into a big bucket for people to pick their own or something. I don't know.
But this is tragic. This is quite sad, guys.
I didn't actually realise Glasgow got. I knew there was like a World War affected us up here, but I didn't realise they got bombed like that.
Oh God! It was the forgotten Blitz. I've actually got another article here. The forgotten Blitz in World War II that left hundreds of dead and thousands homeless. You see, you got to remember after the war, they built all these high-rise flats. That's why, because there was nothing left. There was actually nothing left, I mean, here's a
Right.
street. Can you imagine that being your street, ladies and gentlemen?
I know. All
Now,
the
they're council
family.
houses. They're kind of like the ones, Kim. I mean, look, you're in Drewer and I'm in
Aye,
kind of thing. It's,
they're definitely
yeah,
council house.
this is actually quite interesting. This is an unexploded bomb. It landed in the shipyard and it never went off.
Right.
But
Wow.
just to put that into perspective, that's like, I think it was a ton or something like that. See if that went off, it would probably destroy a street and more.
Wow. And they're standing
Oh.
that close to it.
Yeah. This one I would say is iconic of Glasgow. I would say this one, and you were actually talking about this tonight before we went live, guys. This one's iconic because it shows you
Yeah.
the devastation, and you can see what's left of the
Cathedral in
church
the
with the
background.
cross.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
It's
sad.
look at that damage.
Sad to see Glasgow like that.
I know, but knew it's a flourishing city. But if you ever notice when you go to Glasgow now, because I was there last year, a lot of Glasgow is new.
Yes, it
There's
definitely
very,
is.
there is a few bits of the city that's still old, and you can
Especially
still
as you're
see the
driving
oldness.
into our end, isn't it? There's a
Oh,
lot
aye.
of new.
Aye.
Yeah.
Everything's concrete jungle. Now, actually, the article for this,
People alive there, aren't they?
aye, the article for this, there was, I think, over 30 people trapped, and I think only 2 of them survived.
Oh, wow.
So imagine they were in bed, the air raid sirens
Yeah.
went off, and they thought, oh, we're in Scotland, they'll no do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat, guys. I like to come back. I mean, what's your thoughts in the chat, guys, about this? Because it's so horrific. Was that Janice Stewart doesn't say much for us Scots?
Her father was there, Chris. If you see
Who's
Ironfire's comment.
I knew it. My father was there. He wouldn't talk about it. He was a kid now.
Yeah. Welcome in,
Yeah.
Joanne, on Facebook.
Hey, Joanna, thank you. It's sad. I mean, it's the Germans wanted us destroyed because we were producing ships. I mean, we were producing, I think it was every like 2 months we were producing a new ship. That's how quick we were pumping them out. We were building them really, really quick. And that was the
Clydbank
Glasgow.
shipyard was
Aye.
huge, though. Yeah,
Aye.
definitely
It was. Aye, it was the major centre. Do you think about it? There was, I think they built a grand total of 1,600 ships or something during the war. It was ridiculous. Aye, they were building everything. This is actually quite an interesting
and a lot of it was ladies as well.
Yeah. Look at the most sitting.
That's what Ironfire's talking about, Chris. She said that her mother got sent to the countryside when the war was going on. So I take it maybe it was something like this. Aye,
that's all come out of this. A lot of the kids off to the countryside during the war.
Yeah.
See, it's okay for my uncle and stuff like that remembered the bombers going out because he lived in the countryside.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're. Can you imagine what that was like?
Yeah,
the bombs,
I know.
Floating, hiding.
Especially not knowing that it's going happening. Like you would probably hear it. I mean, Glasgow's not really that far. Think of that turmoil. You would probably hear it. Just the rumble and things, maybe about that call, Hamilton, you would feel it. Maybe not as far back as this.
You've got to remember, right? During the 1940s and the start of the 1950s, Glasgow was very small. It wasn't that big. It was. It wasn't like bustling a city, but it is a city. But it wasn't as big as it was now, because obviously you've got East Kilbride. See, yes, East Kilbride outside Glasgow.
Aye.
That didn't exist. That wasn't there until the later 1960s.
Yeah, it started off with a roundabout or something, didn't it? A roundabout was built in it. It's a crazy story.
And
I remember my uncle telling me, or my mum and that telling me about it.
I'm going to show you some photos of the new guys, and I've read Drew's in these, and they're horrific, but
Yeah, they're just
Do you know what I mean?
upsetting to think
So
that was people's families, and the turmoil that must have happened the way back then. The wait
I'll
to
start
save them alive.
off of this one up. So take a look at that street. Look at that. There's a double-decker bus sitting there. Well, I think it's a double-decker bus. Either that or it's a tram.
Maybe,
Yeah,
And they're actually carrying
think it's a
bodies, if you
tram.
look.
Yeah,
It's just a shame. It's
yeah,
just one of those things that we should never forget it. It happened and it's part of our history. We didn't
yeah.
get taught it in school. We get taught an overall basic history of the UK, but we didn't get taught actually Scottish history, how it affected us or anything, you know? Wow.
And
That is full families, isn't it?
I've actually got a drawing, an illustration of the German bombers. This is what it was like. This is, you see so that was like the Gorbals. That was the Gorbals, right? It's a drawing of the Gorbals, right? You
Yeah.
know, the kind of high rises and the Gorbals that they had,
Yeah, that's
the
what the
brick
train
high
station
rises.
was, the train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See all the things at the back. Those are bunkers. They're called Anderson shelters, and you can see the lights
That's
going into
right.
the lights are going into the sky, trying to find the bombers so they can shoot them down.
Right.
God, look at that. There's a phone box. You don't really see them anymore. But it's the devastation. I think this was a factory. It serves me right. This was one of the factories that made machine guns. It made the Thompson machine guns and stuff. And
Right.
it was bombed. But this is where it gets
Definitely
quite
hit the
graphic, guys.
carpets, didn't they? Well, that's a wee
Aye,
shame.
aye, that one's quite.
That wee girl just looks as if she doesn't know what's happening. As if what happened?
The story behind that, what I can find, is her family get killed. I think she was the only survivor.
Wow.
Aye, that was the street that she was on at the time. That one that I showed you earlier.
Right.
I mean, it's quite horrific. It really is, and it just shows you what. I'm just going to go back to the chat. The war actually looks like.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
think it was
nowadays,
close to us as well.
Oh, why?
So
There was
40
actually
minutes
stray
up the
bombs
road.
that actually went off near Lanark. There was actually stray bombs that went off near Lanark. That was the thing with the bombers is, see, after they bombed their targets, right? Some of the German bombers had bombs left, right?
Right.
And they only had a certain amount of fuel on the planes. So they would turn around after bombing Glasgow and they would come back and they would fly across the sea, right, to like Norway and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they would turn back, right, and they would think to themselves, right, if we drop the bombs, we'll not need as much fuel. So they'd be
Yeah.
flying along, they'd just randomly drop a bomb. There was a couple of bombs went off near Lanark. There was a couple of bombs went off near Les Mahate, where you stay. There was a couple of bombs went off near there, and it was just the planes fleeing over. They just randomly dropped them.
Oh my goodness, there you go.
Yeah, there was no
Wow.
targets. There was just random. Then
Had to get rid of them.
To this day, they are finding bombs in the River Clyde.
Yeah, I could
They're
imagine
finding
that.
bombs. Oh, aye. It's quite interesting. I mean, there was. Again, I'm laughing here because where is it? This one here. Where is it? That one with the bomb that I found. There was one like that found in London actually, just and the Thames. It washed up one day, and that's a massive bomb. I mean, they were big. They came bigger than that, you know.
Well, I bet they did.
That's just a baby compared to. Oh, no, it's been bomb disposals there. See the military there. See the two guys, the captain and the other guy. They're bomb disposal.
Oh,
it's actually interesting. It's in that bomb was 1941. During World War II, Britain found itself facing a threat of air raids. German bombers' planes would fly above the cities, attempting to destroy factories. the war effort. However, they often bombed residential areas, resulting in many civilian casualties. The
That'd be why
Blitz.
they're haunted then.
Oh yeah. Britain saw London Underground Station being used as bomb shelters, Anderson air shelters being constructed all over Britain.
Wow.
And London, everybody thought London and like some of the cities in England were the worst off, right? Scotland was bombed heavily. I mean, it was ridiculously bombed. Scotland suffered more than 500 German air raids. I'm seriously, I'm reading this off. This is guys. This is actual records.
I had no idea.
I know. Scotland suffered more than 500 German air raids during the course of the war. These ranged from aircraft attacks, planned bombings by 240 planes, strike terror and fear into the civilian population. More than 2,500 Scots died as a result, and 8,000 were injured, losing their legs, losing their arms, being blind. I'm just reading a thing here, being blinded, being burned. I mean, the Germans were ruthless, but so were we. We bombed them back. We bombed them back.
Yeah.
I mean, we died. I mean, you
My
look at what
mother
happened
is
to
still
Berlin and stuff like that.
terrified of them. Yep, my mother is still terrified, and she'll be actually 73 tomorrow. And she
I'm
is
drinking
still
my dandelion and burdock tonight.
All right, it's nice. Yeah,
Well,
she's still
how we change.
terrified in Nazis and things like that. She can't watch it on the
Oh,
television. Anything about the war, she's actually traumatized with it.
yeah. Well, it's Clydbank Blitz. I'm going to read you this. The worst of these attacks was the Clydbank Blitz, which took place on March the 13th and 14th. So all that devastation I showed you, that happened in 2 days.
Wow.
At night, when people were in their
Yeah.
beds, right? In 1941, it's considered to be the worst case of destruction and civil deaths in Scotland during the war. The 2 nights saw 528 people dead, good God, and a further 617 residents seriously injured.
See?
There's actually a woman here, McKay, 88, was only, this is one of the survivors, was only 12 years old when the attacks took place. Looking back, it's called in 2 nights of constant bombing. So the sun set, boom, 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 boom. It didn't stop until like morning. And then it happened again. The Clydebank was a hub of industry, producing ships and munitions for Allied forces. This made it a natural target for Germans' radar. They intended to bomb John Brown and Company shipyard, a factory which manufactured anti-aircraft, medium caliber guns, and that's contribution factory to grenades. It just tells you all the kind of what they were making at the time. It took the government weapons contracts during the war, dropped more than 1,000 bombs on Clydebank. Good God, which amateur historian Lisa Taylor called the most cataclysmic event in the war time Scotland, his book. I mean, I'm seeing pictures here that
it was that bad. Honestly, it's terrible.
You go to maybe see the 1,000, see where they like 5,000 or so bombs that was dropped. Only like 3,000 of them went off.
So where's the rest?
Where is
Randomly
the rest? That's a good point, ladies and gentlemen. I either find them all the time. They find them all the time.
Yeah.
There could be one underneath your house for all you can.
Exactly. Wow.
Then run be here, so you don't have to worry about that. I mean, it's 12,000. Oh my God, wait to hear this. 12,000 houses and tenement buildings by the end of the Blitz. Jesus. 12,000 houses and tenement buildings were destroyed. 7 of these stood undamaged, 4,000 completely destroyed, and a further 4,500 severely destroyed. The Clydebank Blitz saw more than 35,000 people made homeless, and that's the space of 2 days. 35,000 were made homeless.
Wow.
The bombing of Clydebank was never actually planned by the German forces. Did you know that? but happened as a result of the German planes being unable to attack their targets. So basically, they were like, we can't get that factory. Oh, look, there's a street over there. Let's just dump it.
Right. Maybe, yeah, I get it.
Aye.
Backup places to probably drop their bombs.
The oil storage farm, due to the anti-aircraft fire. See, the aircraft, what do you call it? The places where they were building the shipyards, right? Had all the anti-aircraft guns. The German planes couldn't get near it. Well, some of them made it, some of them damaged it, but they were shot down, and they couldn't get near it. They just could not get near it. So they decided, right, let's bomb the city instead, because they had to drop them with their ordnance. They had to do it.
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
They released the bombs over Glasgow and flee instead, so they would drop their bombs and then flee back home as quick as possible. Were never seriously damaged, but the Clydbank's failure to the Nazis, they hoped that losses would strike the fear and terror into the British citizen. So they were basically, the Nazis were hoping that the public would be like, oh no, we need to surrender, because they were because we were doing the same with them, right?
Can you imagine if we did ever surrender, what it would be like these days? Dread to think.
I don't know, but Nazis marching up and down the road, wasn't it?
I know, but I actually couldn't believe it.
On 6th and 7th of May 1941, Greenock, you ever been to Greenock?
Yeah,
was bombed by the Luftwaffe as they targeted many ships and shipyards around the town. It just shows you it's absolutely interesting. I was reading stuff on this and watching stuff on this, and it's just fascinating. The civilians took a brunt of the attack during the Blitz, which began around midnight on May the 6th. This is Greenock.
It's my birthday.
Is it?
May 6th.
And 271 people were killed in Greenock. More than 10,200 injured during the intense bombing. 5,000 homes were completely destroyed, and a further 25,000 were damaged. Residents fled to the tunnels at the east end of the town. So there was the subway system in Glasgow, which is quite small. It's one of the smallest subway systems, I think, in the world, is it not? The tunnels in the east end of town.
Big. Yeah, it really isn't big at all.
Managed to reduce the casualties and the dead in the second night. So everybody was hiding in the tunnels, so that kind of saved them. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat here, guys, because I'd like to see what's happening. Streamer's acting kind of weird tonight. It's awfully slow. I don't know what's going on. I knew Gran used to go on. I'm just reading the Iron Firehouse had to stay in Glasgow, and the kids went to the countryside. Sherry, Pure Evil, was that an American who refused to help anyway? Well, the Americans come in later on in the war. We survived. Britain survived 2 years in a war with Germany before the Americans come in. What's this for Facebook? It's crazy that the wars and Hitler era not being thought, the school's over, some left. There's over here, so it didn't happen. I know. It's crazy. There's actually people that deny that it happened. Believe that? So there's actually people that say that it never happened. Honestly, I don't know. It's madness. As I've been reading, the factories were bombed, blazing from the midnight till 3:30 a.m. when the planes would turn round and head home, because obviously the sun was coming up, and the sunlight came up. The Spitfires and the Hurricanes came into play.
They wanted to do as much damage as they could to the public, didn't it? Doing it at night.
Well, that's why they did it at night. That's why they bombed different at night, because the fighter aircraft couldn't really fly at night. Well, it could fly at night, but it was easy to see the targets.
Yeah.
Aye.
Crazy.
The local firemen were awarded the George Medal after entering a burning building, control and stop the fire, which would have destroyed a massive amount of materials contribution to the war. See that could have helped turning point of the war. During the Greenock Blitz, the British night fighters from nearby air engaged with the bombers. This meant the bombers were dropped all over south-west Scotland. However, only 3 Nazi planes were shot down in the attack. The Clydbank Greenock Blitz saw 1,000 tons of explosives dropped over Scotland. That was in a couple of nights.
Wow.
Only attacks in Edinburgh and Montrose, Fraserburgh, bombed more than a dozen times each during the war. It's fascinating, isn't it?
That's crazy.
And
I didn't
horrifying at
have
the same
any
time.
idea. I honestly thought it was England that got most of the bombings. Just shows you, doesn't it?
Why? But you've got to remember, we got our in back to 1944. Britain, America, we were bombing the Germans like you wouldn't believe. We killed
Right.
hundreds of thousands, more than they
Wow.
killed us. Why?
Yeah.
There's actually theories that they shouldn't have bombed as much because the Germans were getting ready to surrender. But
Right.
even after Berlin fell, they were still bombing
Right. Making sure.
until the German army surrendered.
Yeah.
But Scotland was a strategic interest point of Hitler. Of course, it was. It was the
Because
manufacturing.
everything we were doing,
Aye.
isn't it? We were making for the war effort.
Aye. I mean, it's quite interesting because it goes on here to tell you about Scapa Flow before the war started and what was World War One and stuff like that. And Scotland has played a big part in World War
Yeah,
Two.
definitely must have, especially
see,
all the things about.
Aye, where we stay was famous for the coal fields, right? And a lot of the coal here went to make two things. It was used for coke, which was crushed up coal, and it was used to make steel for the
Right.
tanks and stuff like that. And it was used to power the ships,
Uh-huh.
right? A lot of the ships were oil fired coming in. I don't think many were actually coal, but there was a lot of coal went for the trains, the steam engines and stuff.
Yeah. Take the stuff further afield, aye.
Aye.
Wow.
Now, while we're here, we've got about 29 minutes left of the show. We're going to talk a wee bit about the hauntings that's been taking place. Because obviously it goes Scotland, we have to talk about, not just history and the world. Listen, I'm just going to read some of the chat. PIW investigate 18 or 19, Iron Fire Horse. I think they just wished more low. Iron Fire Horse, all the industry resulting from Scottish entitlement.
It's terrible.
You can actually, there wasn't that long ago, there was a bomb found in Glasgow.
Right.
And it was, I think it was about a construction site where some of the Gorbals used to be. And they were building high rise. And they found a 300-pound bomb or something like that.
Crazy.
It's quite interesting because some of the streets that were destroyed have had modern houses built. I don't mean like modern houses. I mean houses built for the 1950s, 1960s.
Aye, they rebuilt there.
And things do happen. Strange things.
No wonder people will still be going about confused, wondering what happened because it happens that quick in the middle of the night.
That's a really good point. You think about it, right? You talk about lost souls, right? They don't know if they're dead or alive or whatever. Say that night they went to their bed, the 12th of the March, they went to their bed, right? And they woke up and their house was gone.
I know.
And they were standing there in their pajamas.
Just like
and then over time, they started building houses round about them and stuff. And they were like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that's like? Can you imagine the lost souls that have not crossed over? There's one street, I think, in particular in Glasgow, was one of the main ones of the Gorbals where it was Clydbank. There's been like apparitions of like people walking. The people walking right through the houses. All the neighbours have seen it. Because at one time it was like tenement buildings.
Yeah.
And it'd be quite an interesting
because it was so traumatic. Imagine you were walking to the toilet and that bomb hit. That person would probably just keep walking that little corridor all that time. That'd be why. That'll be the perfect storm for a haunting. Just an endless loop.
See, this is what I find interesting. This is where I can hang with this a wee bit. We're talking about poltergeist cases and stuff like this. I've got a theory, right? that you notice all these poltergeist cases all happened in the kind of early 60s, 70s,
No. Yep.
when all these houses had just been built.
Yeah.
So what happens if the war had kicked up something? What happens if
Definitely.
the activity of the war kicked up something? It's actually frightening to think that there's probably hundreds of lost souls, not just in Glasgow and what do you call it, London. There's more in London, lots more in London.
Probably just wondering what happened, yeah, and they just don't know, and they're just following there
Aye.
could be loads of them, and they're just following each other around, like, what,
I mean,
looking for their home. I mean, their homes are no there anymore, so there could even just be endless searching for them.
see, that's the thing. What happens if they're still in their house, though? What happens if they see their houses? You look at it. We were at that castle on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Crawford Castle. And the spirit box went in the loft. Was it in the loft? It was at the attic or the loft. It was the attic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I looked up, and there was no roof, right? So what happens to a spirit? That castle to them is still a castle. It's still got floors. It's still got furniture. It's still got fires. It's still got all this kind of stuff.
I know. See, that's crazy, isn't it? And we were
What was
kind of
weird?
standing in their attic.
Aye. See, that's the
Probably
thing.
is like that, though. It probably really is like that. They probably do
Aye.
still imagine it.
You know, I mean, that'll be a video for another
Yeah.
time, as Mike would say. You know, that's a video for another time, as Mike would say. But a story
Yep,
for
story for another time.
We'll be doing that
See you,
next
mate.
week or the week. We're actually got to do the reveal because there was a lot of evidence captured on Sunday that we're going to do that in Drew's channel, there, guys, for a change. You know, because
okay.
we're booked for Friday and we're booked obviously for Bishop Brian on Wednesday and we're booked on Friday again.
Yeah.
But what happens if right? There's an old guy they knew in a house, right? In his house. But say that house to our realm doesn't exist.
I know.
Say there's a high-rise flat, right? High-rise flat. And in that high-rise flat, you know, there's somebody watching, I don't know, YouTube, right? Watching us two talk to them, right? And every now and again, he sees like this old man walking about in his house.
I know.
Right? But that old man sees him and thinks, what you doing in my house? Is that an apparition? That old man thinks that must be an
I
apparition.
know. Wow.
Because he's still in his house, it still exists, but in his reality it exists.
I bet you that is what it's like, because there's a lot of films end up turning out that you are the one that is the ghost and things, isn't they? So it's probably is a kind of balance like that. They think each other is the spirit.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
I mean, it's somewhere where we need to actually go, because we need to go to one of the big graveyards in Glasgow. And we need to visit the graves of some of the victims.
Is creepy. I must
I've
admit,
never been there.
It's a beautiful big cemetery, guys. You need to, if you've not already watched it on my channel, go watch it. I went live there. I would love Mystical to watch it and see what she all sees, because it was crazy. It was creepy. It really was creepy, because it's the big tall mausoleums and things, and some of the headstones are as tall as you or bigger, and they've got like peaks and things. It's a beautiful cemetery. We need to go show everybody, but it really is creepy.
You think a lot of the people that were killed in that will be buried there?
Yeah, it's on the hill. It's kind of a cemetery on the hill. That's what it is. And all the poets and things and architects are at one side, and then you've got like your soldiers and different things all around it.
See, this is interesting. We did the show we did the haunted show, the haunted squares in Savannah on Friday. And it was Mike the Naked Bigfoot's son Pete that pointed out that because of all the death and destruction that happened there, because there was fires and stuff, there was bad things that were attracted to the death and destruction, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what's been attracted to what happened in that Blitz, because on Friday we're going to do a show. Let's see the Sochi Poltergeist, which is
Yeah.
near one of the places that was bombed quite heavily. Right?
Oh.
What happens if, and that was built, wait for this, 1950. The houses were built 1950, because I looked it up. 1950, after the war, right? What happens if that's
What
the
did those
spirit?
tenants get that house?
Yeah,
See, that could happen. That really could
that's the thing.
happen. All that, they're traumatized, and that
Yeah.
traumatized energy's conjured something, and it's went with them to their new house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's but what interests me is we talk about, Pete says that the darker energies are attracted to death and violence in particular, right?
Yes.
What happens if darker entities have been attracted to the death in Glasgow,
Especially when it was
right?
the war. War's one of the most
There's,
traumatic things, isn't it? So
aye,
that energy would conjure the darkness,
it's,
the
I
fear.
think,
in people.
aye, I think, I mean, you talk about poltergeist cases in New England, like Glasgow and other places and that. What happens if this is a darker entities?
Probably. Think about it. See
Mhm.
if you had got bombed and one of your family members had died and you had to go to your house is gone, your family members are gone, you're the only survivor, and you're dragged to an air raid shelter every other night or somewhere else. You're trying to mourn, you're trying to figure out what's going on. Think of everything that's going around your head. All of that energy would
Aye.
conjure something. It really would, because you would be so traumatized, and every other
And
family would
think
be
of
the
the
same around you. All that energy.
bodies that were never found.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was bodies never found.
Perfect
Because let's
storm
face it,
again,
if
isn't
a
it?
500-pound bomb detonated right next to you, so
Mm-hmm.
you were lying in your bed and all of a sudden a 500-pound bomb came through the roof, landed on top of you and detonated, there was nothing left of you.
That's going to definitely open a portal.
Aye. Aye. I'm actually thinking we should go to Glasgow one day. We should go, maybe we could go on the train or something like that. We could go to that location. We could walk about and we could maybe see if we could pick up anything, because they're bringing in a new emission zone now. You can't drive in, pay a
Just
charge.
added, it's getting the same in Edinburgh. Edinburgh never bears the same. No,
Yeah.
definitely. The trains run every 40 minutes.
It's, I think we need to go there, because I think we should go to the Transport Museum too, because I think that'd be quite interesting.
Oh yeah,
Because that's got a lot of past, and we could do it in the shipyards and the docks where some of the bombings actually happened. There is so many interesting places that we
There's
have got to
great
go to.
places to have.
I mean, the place we're going to
Oh,
on Sunday, we've not decided yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're either
so
going
many
to the witch's
options.
graveyard. We're either going to the witch's graveyard or that castle. What did you think of that castle I sent you?
That's amazing, isn't it? I'd love to go there. It's one of those ones that you
You
really
should see this, guys.
huge.
Uh, It's not that far away. It's only about 30, 40 minutes away for us, right? It's no
And
far,
then we
right?
discovered what was it? An amethyst cave as well is not far away.
Aye, that's 29 minutes away from me and you.
An amethyst cave. Wow.
Yep.
We need to go
It's
there after
actually,
the ghost hunt.
it's a kind of, like, they've got like weird kind of things, and you can go and stand in them. And I was thinking of going live wherever we go on Sunday and doing a video, so you get two. We might do a
Yeah.
live in the way up. We can do
Yeah,
that.
we could
We can do a
definitely
live in
do
the way
that.
up too, guys, which is like that.
Yeah.
To the location. I think there's so many. We're going to go to the haunted graveyard, the witch's graveyard on Sunday, but there was the world, what do you
Pan
call
and
it,
shaft
gold
championships.
panning things or something like that there, and it was gonna be absolutely mobbed, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're in for a treat wherever we take you. I mean, I was going to go to that castle. What's that other castle? Is it Dramington Castle? What's the name of your
Drumlanrig.
what's it?
Yeah,
Drumlanding
Drumlanrig.
Castle. Oh God,
I'm trying to
guys.
see if I've got my little offering beside me yet. I actually have got the offering here that is for the witch when we go to the
Oh.
witch's cemetery. It's got some money in it and just different herbs and things and some. I do believe it was aventurine. So I've got some of that.
There's
for
Iron Fire Horse. Where are you going, Mr. Anstey? Just booked another camping trip. Do you like my pink cool voice? September. Lou, the energy from all the quartz and other rocks is magical. There you go. If you want my voice to do like beer adverts, I'm available. You know, it's I can see you the new Iron Fire Horse dancing round about the cave or the crystals
Yeah.
round about you.
Oh, I
Your
think it'll be
backpack
good.
on, you know. It's going to be interesting. It really is. We've got so much to do this year. We've got so many places. It's that haunted cave that we can't tell you where it is because if we tell you, it's a secret.
We need to build up to that though, guys. We need to get our paranormal investigating down to top notch before we go to that location. We need to do.
Because I think the energy there's quite.
Yeah.
The energy there's quite big. Of course, we're going to Loch Ness and we're sending Drew in our own boat.
I'm going to run a boat. I can't swim.
Alan doesn't go ghost hunting anymore because he says that he doesn't want to catch COVID off me, even though I've no got it.
Yeah, he'll come round. I'm quite sure I'll
he said a couple of years and it should be fine.
Oh, we have got a new team member. Do you want to tell them who our new team member is?
You introduce everybody. I'm going to slip in my dandelion bird dog.
Guys, do you remember that we have had Lors up for a couple of times as a guest on the station, on the channel? She is also joining us on Ghost Squad Scotland for some investigations once we get up her way and things. So look forward to seeing Lors out with us on location. So I'm very happy.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to somebody. We need somebody to lock in the old dungeon. Alan's not here.
Don't worry, I'll let you.
I wouldn't do that.
For long.
Nessie, fancy getting a wee boat, a wee wind boat. You can go out there late at night, 12 o'clock at night, Yeah, but my mystical loving like, can we sit in the boat? And
yep, definitely. We'll go all the way to Tennessee and pick you up. We'll send an aeroplane.
And if there's anybody else nearby that's into the ghost hunting that would like to join us, message me or Drew.
Definitely,
but
guys.
If you had your own car, because it would make life easier for me. There was somebody actually asked me the other day, says, can I go ghost hunting with you? I stay in the centre of Edinburgh, and I think I'm driving in the centre of Edinburgh.
I know.
But we've got so many
around us. They're great places.
There's places that nobody knows about that I know about that are really haunted, and I will all be going to the places really soon. The show on Friday, we're going to be talking about the poltergeist case, which is quite interesting because it's a little girl, and it wasn't very violent. This is the thing. This is quite interesting. The case with the little girl. It wasn't just her. It would actually follow her to school. Did you know that?
Right.
Aye. It would follow her to the school, and it would interact with people in the school. But it's not just that; it would interact with people in the church. It would interact with people in the shops. It wasn't just to this house. It was everywhere. So I do think you get friendly poltergeists.
Yeah.
But then you get bad ones like the Enfield and other kind of things.
It's just an energy though sometimes. I mean, the word poltergeist is because of the films. You start thinking, it's things that's throwing things around.
Go to the light.
It could be just moving that from there to there. It's still poltergeist energy.
Aye. What is it, the poltergeist film with the wee woman? The wee man
Yes,
with the dark
she's quite creepy,
sunglasses.
isn't she? Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
She
want
was
to
creepy.
go
So
for
was the man with
that?
the hat.
Do you want to sing a song with me? Do you come with me? You see where he gets her in the mall. Nobody else can see him because he's a ghost.
Oh,
Did you not
that's
ken
not.
that?
It's the second or third one, isn't it?
Aye. It's actually really interesting. And of course, we've got Bishop Brian next week. That'll be interesting.
Yes. And I've got Neil
Just
Story
be
on Monday.
just beware. Strange things happen with Bishop Brian. Really strange things happen. There's a lot of he's pissed off a lot of demons.
Demonic energies.
Really. Aye. I put it this way, they're probably playing darts the noon. It's a picture of him.
I'll have all my
Right.
payload and everything all sitting. Payload
I'm
oil,
looking
payload
for
oil and everything.
aye. What's that, Jacqueline Evelyn? What's that? Sounds wonderful, Iron Firehouse Shelley. Thunder Bay Paranormal Canada got what's that? Allegedly a big anthracis cluster from the shop.
Okay, brilliant.
People get confused by the word poltergeist. All it means is the capacity of moving objects. Well, all poltergeist means is noisy spirit, isn't it? It's a
That's
noisy
it,
spirit.
isn't it? Yeah, no, it is.
I was having a talk with Dave Schrader, and he was telling me about. We were talking about demons, demonic possession, and stuff like that. And that's the thing, right? Look, I've met folk that are like, oh, I've got a demon in my house. I'm like, what? I've got a demon in my house. And I says, what's happening? Oh, now and again I hear a creak upstairs, and occasionally I see something moving. And I'm like, well, for a start, if you had what do you call it? If you had a demon, I think you would know of a demon. You wouldn't even want to stay there. This is the thing about TV, and this is what you have to watch about, especially with Zach Bagans. He's terrible for this. There's no as many demons as you think there is out there.
I know, it's
They're
terrible.
in every
People
corner, in every
out
house,
there.
hiding, ready to pounce on you. I will say this. You shouldn't dabble in certain things like the Ouija board and stuff like that. If you don't care what you're doing, you shouldn't go down that road. What's this?
Definitely.
Scott Diesel. Poltergeist comes from two German words. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good. Is it noisy spirit or something like that? Noisy ghost or noisy spirit?
Yeah.
Poltergeist wake and teenager. What's that? Poltergeist wake and a teenager for school. Look.
Yes.
Aye.
It's that energy. Yeah.
Aye. You ever notice that? It's just strange. It's hyper shooting kids. But then
See,
it makes you
that's the
wonder.
thing. That's the common denominator, isn't it? Well, a lot of these houses that we've been talking about the last few weeks is the teenage energy with the girls.
Yeah.
There's something in it that does maybe in certain characters the kids conjures a little bit deep.
Is it a ghost? Is it a spirit? Or is it just that person's got an ability to move stuff? Telekinesis. How do we know that kid hasn't got telekinesis? And that's what's caused
There's a lot of cases where it has came out that the person is doing it themselves and they really don't realise that they're doing it themselves. So is it a case of that? They just don't know it's them.
Have Scott Diesel. I've got the same problem as you actually, but mine's friendly.
Yeah.
You know,
I've always got. I have shadows and things. Just because it's a shadow figure doesn't mean that it's anything scary. It just means that it's choosing to come like that. A lot of spirits don't want to show themselves because they've maybe got deformed looking, or maybe if they've been shot or something, they don't want to show that. So a lot of the time they'll just be like shadow form.
I will say this. See if you acknowledge the spirit. They'll leave you alone. A lot of the times, right, I would see the one that comes to my house, Robert, right? I would see him all the time. Right? I would see him every day. I would see things moving about. I'd see shadows, right? See when the psychic Lisa told me about him, and other people told me about him.
up in every
When
time
I
you were
acknowledge them.
live, remember?
Aye,
He would always be
aye,
over your
and
shoulder every time you were live.
he's here now. I can feel him. I can feel him. He's here now.
No, but
But when when I acknowledged him, he stopped. He only comes very rarely now. You only see him and feel him very rarely. You
wanted
really
you to know
just
he
need
was
to
there.
acknowledge them. Just say to them, look, Scott, just say, listen, I says, I know you're there. I know you're in my house and stuff like that. I mean you no harm, and I know you mean me no harm. You're free to come and go. Just say something like that, can't I mean? But please don't hurt me or my family. Please protect us, things like that. And that's it. If they can, oh, I thought it was a poltergeist there throwing stuff at you.
Oh.
You know, hey Stockport, good to see you in the room.
Oh, come on.
But it's aye. An interesting show Friday. But then we've got what you call Bishop Brian, which that'll be an interesting one. So
That's
what's
gonna be good.
what you've got to be talking about? What you got to be talking about in your show?
What one, Christopher? I've got Neil's story coming in Monday, so we'll be talking about
Aye,
witchcraft
aye,
murders. Yes.
Oh, who's going on that with you? Is my Mystical World going on with
You
that
are
with you?
coming on with
He's
me,
not came to his
Christopher, I
info.
do believe, and Mystical Loving Light's coming on with me.
Oh, he doesn't came to his info. He's got to be getting chased about by witches. You better watch, Neil. If you're watching this, you're going to end up in the jar. You know.
We will be perfect ladies to you, Neil. Don't listen to Christopher. We will be perfect ladies.
Just wait to the get
Wait till the jars come out.
Neil. You're in for a treat. You're going to have a start. Put the cap in the jar like that. You know.
I think Mystical still got the pictures of you in the jar, Chris, actually.
I probably have. Iron Ferris I've had.
You're safe. You did a good thumbnail.
Aye. I've got a get out of jail card. I've had some really strange experience that could be explained best with
telekinesis. Right. It's just another one of these
I can that folk,
isn't it? That you can debate forever. Is it teenage energy? Is it female energy? You just don't know. A lot of cases.
Look, I will say this, and this is the thing that I'm going to get into with Bishop Brian next week, is demonic possession and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be really.
It's going to be a deep one.
It's going to be on a show like we usually do.
Yeah, it's going to be quite deep, guys. We're going to try and get questions answered.
Strange things, all your lights will start flickering. All the lights will start flickering. Spirits.
It's going to be interesting to see what he thinks is the worst case of things he's had and things like that. It'll be interesting to ask him those questions as well. What he's been, as much as he can share anyway.
Oh, aye. You should actually watch some of his lives that he does Viages After Dark. It's actually really, 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 really good. I can only watch like an hour. He does like a 2 to 3 hour show, but I can only listen to like an hour because it goes into like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Aye, see, that's the trouble.
Aye, that's the trouble. Why can the Americans not have the same time zone as us?
I know. We need to be in your time zone. We end up in that time zone though. If you start staying up and watching different live streams, you end up being in the US time zone, getting up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and things.
Yeah.
Easy done.
So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, guys, about the Blitz in Glasgow. Could you remember, please go and share and subscribe to Drew's Abandoned Paranormal. See, I'm getting it right now. I'm not forgetting it.
Yes.
Remember, stay spooky. You never know what's creeping about, You never, in the darkness, when you're in bed at night, there's something sitting there watching you, looking at you.
And I will have a talk with Mystical Loving Light and see when she wants to do the review of Sunday's investigations, guys. And then I'm quite sure Chris will get the video and put it up in his channel as well. But you're welcome to come on over and listen to that as well. I don't know when that'll be, probably in the next week. It'll not be too long.
Well, yes. Just think, ladies and gentlemen, you'll all be tucked up in your beds the night and the dark shadows will come into your room.
Only if you invite them.
Look, I've got a
That's
unique.
right.
I put earplugs in. A freight train could go past me, and I went, I wear industrial earplugs. Did you know, Ken? I wear industrial earplugs, right? I kid you not, I wear industrial earplugs. A freight train could go past my window. There's no real with it, but they could. I wouldn't hear it. And it's at this time of year I open the window and you hear the early morning tweeting birds, but you don't hear them because you've got earplugs in.
Oh no, I couldn't speak in the pure silence. I don't think.
That's great.
Too used to noise.
Absolutely.
See, I was brought up beside a motorway though, as I've explained to you before. The motorway was right beside us, so I'm always used to that hum. When I moved to Lanark, I missed it. When I moved to Lanark, I didn't realise why it was so silent until I moved back here, and I realised it was that hum in the background I had been missing. True story.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if the ghosts visit you tonight, send them to Drew and My Mystical Living Light, because they will get entertained, you know, something up. You know, you never know. Bigfoot might turn up in your room, you know, wearing his clogs and his Speedo.
They can't get in here, guys. It's too protected. The place is protected. It's only spirits I invite in that can come into my home. So they won't come in.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a fantastic week. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Remember, tune in on Friday and Bob and Bonkers will be live too. Oh my God, it's a wolf! It's coming to Giz! It's coming to Giz! You know? So, catch you later, everybody. Have a fantastic week. See you.
Thank you for joining us on this exciting adventure with Ghost Squad Scotland. Our team of experienced ghost hunters use the latest technology to explore the paranormal and uncover the truth about the unknown. Don't forget that we're affiliated with Spirit Shack, the UK's premier ghost hunting equipment store, so you can trust our equipment to be top-notch. Plus, we have exclusive Ghost Squad Scotland merch available on our Zazzle store, so you can show your support for the team in style. And if you can't get enough of our ghost hunting adventures, be sure to tune into the Bald and Bonkers TV network to catch our show in action. Content creators can even have their own content syndicated on the network, or create their own custom online TV channel by visiting baldandbonkers.net. Thank you for your support. And remember to always keep an open mind.